Hello, welcome to this Williams special vodcast today. Very pleased to say I am joined by Claire Williams, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi and Johnny Herbert. Good afternoon, good day all.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yeah, Nicholas, let's start with you because you're in Toronto at the moment, aren't you? Are you there with family and do you have a trainer and how is it in Toronto?
Yeah, I've been back home since traveling back from Melbourne. I've just been with all my family, kind of just self-isolating at home. It's been okay. I mean, just trying to keep busy, doing a lot of training. We have a home gym here, which is quite lucky to have, so making quite a lot of use of that. And obviously a lot of gaming on the esports side of thing, really making use of my home sim now. So the situation I think is in Toronto is pretty similar to how it is everywhere else, you know, being strongly encouraged to stay indoors and just kind of do what you can to just isolate from other people. So just kind of waiting for it all to blow over, really.
Yeah, you've been working out in the gym yourself?
I mean, my trainer is in the UK. He actually just had a baby the other day, so he had to be his wife had a baby, obviously. He wasn't able to come back, obviously, for fear of, you know, if things got really, really bad, then maybe he was scared he was going to be stuck here, and, you know, he had to be obviously near his wife during this time. So I'm by myself, but still in constant communication with him. Kind of, he's helping me with setting some plans and things like that.
We're going to come on to all of that in a moment. Let's just say a big hello to Claire as well. Claire, first time we've seen you during this lockdown. How are you and how is this time? I imagine with your little boy, Nate, it's been pretty special to spend so much time at home.
It's been lovely. It's quite easy to get used to just being at home, I found, which is a bit dangerous for when they tell us we've all got to go back. I've been on the road for 20 years now in F1 nearly and motorsport in general. And so, packing bags and not having to do that and not having to go to Heathrow, it's been lovely. And obviously being able to spend time with my little boy and my husband, it's been lovely. We've had a lot of work to do in between, so lots of meetings with TPs and F1 and the FIA and sorting out the sport for when we all get back. But in between all of that, a lot of lovely time, baking, working out, all that stuff. I'm going to get back and I'm going to be ripped. That's my ambition. Lose the baby weight.
I think that's everyone's ambition. However, the combination of the working out and the baking, I think is there a quarantine 15 or something? There's a 15 pounds most people are going to put on during quarantine.
Oh my God, really? Well, no, I'm trying to bake healthy stuff like carrot and courgette muffins, and I have protein balls. Not really baking, is it? It's just mixing stuff together. But trying to stick to the healthy stuff.
And George, good to see you. I suppose that's what you're doing as well, baking that healthy stuff.
I'm doing all the baking. No, we're unfortunately I'm here with 5 other people who are very much into their cooking. I've got my mum making nice, lovely, healthy salads and bits and bobs. I've then got my sister and her husband on the flip side who have got Snickers and crisps and all sorts stashed away. And I'm also here with
you, George. You've been called the sugar police in your house.
We are. Well, so I'm here with my trainer because, as I mentioned before, my trainer's from Barcelona, and we're obviously on very strict lockdowns there. So it was nicer for him to be here with me. So he's training me hard, but we're also getting the family into all the fitness, and we're trying to teach them about nutrition and, well, mainly my sister and her husband because they're the worst. So we're now deemed the sugar police every time they pick up any of this. So, but it's good. It's good. I've got to the point now I'm just like, do what you want, because if you want to get fat and unhealthy, you get fat and unhealthy. They're not listening to me. So, but it's nice. It's nice.
And you've been chopping some logs, Nicholas. If you saw, he was shirtless again.
Yes, we saw.
Shirtless.
No, so he wasn't shirtless, but I was actually surprised and I even saw comments on social media on that video where exactly what I was thinking. I said, if he wanted to be shirtless, I think that would have been the perfect opportunity where he could have actually gotten away with it. That's what lumberjacks do when they chop logs. Well, I mean, I don't know, but he took the one opportunity away where he could have taken it off.
I'm surprised he turned up with a shirt on today.
Spoil the fans too much, you know. You gotta give it out in dribs and drabs, you know. If you give them too much, they won't appreciate it. So, you know, I'll think of a special occasion next time.
The shirtless juggling was the funniest one.
That's good, no? I mean, it's a sunny day. It's you got to make the most of it. I'm not going to be lying there in my t-shirt when the sun's out.
True.
Let's talk about this eRacing now, Claire. I'm sure you've been watching it. I mean, I guess for you guys, it allows a little bit of a competitive edge to come into your life. But for the fans watching, it's been so much fun to see the personalities come out between you all as well. And how much are you enjoying it, and how useful is it at the moment?
It's been good fun. I think, firstly, it sort of brought the drivers together a little bit more, the ones who are taking part in this. I've enjoyed it. You know, the streaming side of thing is something I've never done before, and I've actually really enjoyed doing it. It's an easy way just to sort of show your true colours and get your personality out there. And I think from our side, it's almost a bit of a duty to, you know, put on a bit of a show and a bit of entertainment for all of these, you know, amazing and loyal F1 fans who have got nothing to watch or to follow. So giving them this opportunity with us sat behind the computer is great. But I mean, it soon got very competitive, and which led to having to spend hours and hours behind the computer screen, sat in my living room on the simulator, which is not necessarily what I want to be doing when, you know, the weather's nice in the garden and, you know, I could be outside shirtless, getting a bit of a tan, but that's what it takes to get this competitive edge. So I've enjoyed it so far. Nicholas, your thoughts?
Yeah, really just echoing what George just said. Yeah, for me, it's been something quite cool. I mean, from the streaming side of things, I mean, it was never something I would have ever thought I would do beforehand. And yeah, just really enjoying it. I mean, whenever I get asked about it, I'm like, I just say it's like doing an Instagram live every time you stream. So it's just like a nice way to connect with fans and kind of provide entertainment and kind of give them access to you personally, and as well to whoever you're streaming with, let's say, and see a different side that maybe they wouldn't normally see on a Grand Prix weekend or on TV in interviews. So and then from the esports side of things and the actual driving, I mean, for me, I'm finding it quite fun, and it is getting really competitive, as George said. And I mean, if you do want to be fast, you do have to spend so many hours practicing, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game, and it's not 100% the real thing, as you know, co-masters have to kind of cater to both the hardcore sim racers, but as well like the kind of everyday just game enthusiasts, let's say. So there's a lot of little tricks that you got to kind of sort out if you want to be competitive, and it takes up a lot of time, definitely. Yeah,
but it's got to be great for you guys mentally, I think, to do something like this, to just keep your mind active for when you actually need to jump in the car for the first time.
I don't think there's any sportsman in the world that can't go out and just do their own sport. If you're a footballer, you can go out there and kick a football around, or tennis player. I'm sure most for tennis players have got tennis courts in their houses or in their homes. Sorry. And for us, we can't just. Well, I don't know if there's any racing drivers who've got a racetrack and an F1 car in their garden, but I certainly don't. So it's the next best thing. But as Nicholas said, it's definitely not the real thing. You know, part of racing is that feel, sat in the car driving through a corner at, you know, Silverstone at, you know, 180, 200 miles an hour, and a bit of that fear factor and adrenaline. Whereas when you sat in your living room and you got a cup of tea on your side, it's not quite the same. So like I said, it's the next best thing, but it's still not the same.
No, have you invited Claire in yet?
I invited Claire. She's more than welcome. She's more than.
Know what to do esports.
Yeah.
I think if Claire was involved, we would have been having some team orders quite a few weeks ago with all the times George just hit me off the track.
George, I need to ask you about this. This is becoming a bit of a theme, George. So we've got a lot of people obviously watching this, and they're talking about the way you guys race and the banter, and that's great. And then there's one person, we're asking George about his relationship with Alex Albon. and particular clips that have come out of Alex screaming at you, Stephen Malone on track, and one particular clip of a lawnmower racing you did where you went across the grass deliberately just to take him out and off the track. Talk to us about this little relationship and why you're just bullying him off the track at the moment.
Well, technically, firstly, on the lawnmower incident, I did cut the track, but I did go ahead of him, and technically he hit me off the track, but it was intentional to get in his way. I don't know, it's just been, Alex is one of my best mates, and the first time it happened, seeing his reaction made me giggle. Second time it happened, seeing his reaction definitely made me giggle. And then after the third or fourth time, I'm like, right, I'm actually going to go out my way now and take him out. And on we're doing this lawnmower race, and I like span off or something, and Alex comes by me. He's like, George, please don't hit me off. I'm like, he said it's like so seriously. I'm like, why? He's like, I'm on a good lap. I'm like, right, I'm gonna do it. I've got to do it. So, when we're doing the serious racing, obviously that's a different thing, and I wouldn't mess around like that. As there is time and effort goes into these races. But when we're racing lawnmowers or driving around Suzuka backwards or something like that, then it's acceptable.
And Nicholas, you suffered at the weekend. Both of you suffered actually with Antonio Giovinazzi at the weekend, didn't you? In that race. I mean, you had Stoffel at the start, George, but then Antonio took both of you out, and he really caused some problems at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, with I saw the move we did with George, and yeah, that was for sure very, very, very suspect, and it was kind of looked like the exact same thing with me. I mean, the only thing that I'll kind of give him the benefit of the doubt on with my incident is that he did kind of lag out of the race right after his crash with me. So like, it's not that he continued on, and he said he was having a lot of problems. So with George, he was still continuing and racing right after. So you don't know. But with me, yeah, it was. I mean, from my onboard, if you saw my video, it looked really, really bad from his side, let's say. So, oh yeah, I was really, really mad because, again, like George said, you put so many hours practicing to like be competitive, and it was still such a long race. And there was like 40 minutes left of the race, and I was just kind of by myself. I'm like, oh, this isn't very fun anymore. I guess that's eRacing. It's part of the frustration. I think it's actually probably even more frustrating than the real thing at times.
Claire, from your point of view, I mean, I know there's very little that you can do really to help the drivers at the moment, I guess, preparing to go back racing again. But stuff like this, keeping their reaction sharp, having them doing these kind of things, is this helping from a team point of view as well?
I think George said it. I think that what it does is it engages with our fans. And, I think so many people are missing all sports at the moment, and watching sport on the TV, it's a big part of so many countries' cultures, isn't it? And to be able to do this and to put on a show and to have so many different personalities from the world of motorsport, but so many personalities from different walks of life. I know Liam Payne joined one of the first races, which I was very excited by because he was driving Williams. That's a great thing for us to be able to do. And it just as well shows different personalities. George always portrays himself as a goody two-shoes when we're at Formula One races, but look at it.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Or maybe it just does to me. But now that we've got this different George Russell on our hands, and it's great that they're able to showcase their personalities in a different kind of forum.
What about morale within the team? Obviously, this lockdown is very difficult for everybody, but how is everybody coping?
There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's also a lot of people that we've had to furlough, so we don't connect with those guys as much because they're at home and not able to work. But those that aren't furloughed, we've got about 90 odd people that aren't. We're on Teams and we're having a lot of conversations and calls. Yesterday we had our executive committee meeting, and when you're on these calls, you're kind of a bit bored, and it's lovely to see everybody. But yesterday we all got a bit crazy and started putting crazy backgrounds on the Teams and the Zooms, which is always a bit fun. It's people's birthdays. We have team calls, and we all have like birthday celebration stuff in the background, balloons, and we decorate our backdrop so that people can see. And I think people are just really looking forward though to going back to work. So many messages that I get from people within Williams, I just can't wait to get back to the office now and get going racing again. So morale's still in a good place, and I think a lot of people are just enjoying the time to be at home. but I know a lot of people want to get back to.
We've had quite a few people asking about Frank actually, and asking how he's getting on at the moment. So can you tell us, have you seen much of him lately?
I've only seen him on FaceTime. Obviously, he is over 70, so he's in a high risk category, and he's been locked down now for many more weeks than most people. But he's in great spirits. As I said, I FaceTime him pretty much every day. We have a lovely chat, and he has a brilliant care team that are looking after him. He's got a lot of guys that go in and look after him all day long and in the evenings and stuff. And I think he's watching reruns of rugby matches, and he's watching a lot of the Sky F1 channel and all races and stuff like that. So he's fine. I think though he would like people to be back at the factory, and so he can push around and talk to people. I think that's what he misses most, but he's all good.
Let's go back to, I've got questions here coming in, loads of questions coming in. Nicholas, I mean, we've seen George doing his mummy planks online. What sort of workouts are you doing? That's from Latifi_fan.
So yeah, I mean, it's really just a bit of everything.
Your mum's account, isn't it?
Yeah. No, George, it's your mum. That's your only fan. Remember? Who was it that said that? Lando, I think. No. So yeah, I mean, it's just general. I mean, racing drivers, you kind of got to be very well rounded. So yeah, for sure, a lot of neck training. I don't have anyone to hold me up to do one of those mummy planks, unfortunately. So I just have my little 50 Shades of Grey black leather looking harness that I that I put on my head. Same one Lando uses, same one a lot of us drivers use. I know George has one in his bag too. Don't look like you don't have one.
I see any of that kind of stuff.
And yeah, just a lot of cardio, trying to burn off all the baking my mom and sister are doing, and yeah, strength training in the gym, obviously.
We've got another one here. Nicholas, what do you think about George continuing to take topless pictures? We kind of covered that, really, I think.
Yeah, I think we just can't give George the satisfaction to keep talking about his topless pictures here. We've. Well, I mean,
I'm just.
Okay, this question's to all of you. I'll start with you, Claire, first, if we can, on the answers. Who, in your opinion, is the best Williams driver in the Williams history?
Clearly, apart from the two that we have now, right?
No.
Yes.
No.
You can say the one who hasn't done a race for you yet. That's okay.
Mean and unfair. Apart from George and Nicholas, clearly, I have three. I find it very difficult to just knock it down to one. So Nigel Mansell, awesome, just mega, and such a normal guy. It's extraordinary what he managed to achieve. Ayrton Senna, obviously, and then Juan Pablo Montoya. So for me, they're I think not just the greatest Williams drivers, but the greatest drivers in Formula One history for me, certainly. I love them. If I could have an ideal driver lineup, again, apart from George and Nicholas, it would be Juan Pablo Montoya and Nigel Mansell. I think they just knock it out of the park.
I'd have Nigel and
Andrew Horner.
Jones. That's all right. Nigel and Alan Jones. That's what I'd have.
Would you?
Yeah.
Alan. Yeah, he would be up there too.
Character.
Andrew Horner. Sorry, I should say Andrew Horner, 94 is the question. So, George, who do you think best Williams drivers in the history?
I think I've got to agree with Claire, to be honest. I am a Montoya fan. Think he's a bit of a legend, and the way he went about his business was quite funny, but also on the track side of things, very aggressive. And then obviously, good old Nigel. I think I've never actually met Nigel Mansell, surprisingly enough. I don't think I've ever met him.
Oh, you've got to meet George. He's brilliant. He's so
cool. I've heard many stories. So probably those two, to be honest. I think, as Claire said, they definitely make a good lineup. I think Claire would have a bit of work on her hands to care of both of them off track, but they'll definitely be good on track.
Probably.
Nicholas, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna pick, when you asked Claire the question, I was gonna choose those same three drivers. That's what maybe I heard you answer this question before. I'm not sure, but those are the three ones that came to mind for me as well.
I'll poor Damon Hill. I'll your regards.
We love Damon too. Damon's lovely.
Oh dear.
Let's move on to this season then, because we know that plans are afoot and we're hoping to go racing at the start of July. First of all, Claire, to you, I mean, you're in these TP meetings. Just between us, what's it like in those meetings? Is it a situation where you have the video cameras up like we do, and do you all do you all get a chance to speak? Are there a couple of people who maybe dominate? Do you put your hands up? And are you texting people? Gunter said that you text, everyone sort of texts each other on WhatsApp during the calls. Who's in your text chat is what I want to know.
I'm not telling you who's in my text chat. I definitely have a few on there who we message in between what's going on. But yeah, it's just done on Zoom. And you know, it's great because, and it's certainly been really great for me because I'm invariably the only woman that ever attends any of these meetings. And normally I always count the number of men out there are in the room. And I'm normally in a room with 30 odd blokes and me. And so I can never get a word in edgeways at these meetings. But on Zoom, you have that facility to raise your hand. And Nicholas Tombazi is from the FIA, who chairs the meetings, chairs them brilliantly. And no one is allowed to speak unless your hand is raised. And he does it in order of when you put your hand up. So you know, I still get nervous going to these meetings a bit, and I was still nervous, you know, raising my hand on Zoom, but I got to raise my hand, and then Nicholas says, yep, Claire's turn to talk. And so I actually get to talk in these meetings now because everyone has to listen when you've raised your hands because it's your turn. You can't kind of keep saying, oh, or trying to get a word in edgeways like in a normal meeting. But you know, they've been really productive just from a content perspective. I think the FIA, who have handled the agendas with F1, have done a fantastic job of keeping us focused. In the beginning, from the start of coming back from Australia and doing the meetings, we had a lot of meetings and they were lasting like 4 or 5 hours, which is quite a long time on Zoom. And you kind of think to yourself, how do I get up to go for a bathroom break here without people realizing that I've just disappeared? And you can't work out how to kind of, well, I can't anyway, mute the camera or whatever. And also you can sit there with a blanket on your lap. So I sit there like with a nice shirt on, like everyone's doing, looking really smart, smarter than I do today. And then I've got a blanket on my lap and I've got all my snacks to the side, which I can't obviously do in a real meeting. So it's great. But no, so they've been really productive, as I've said, and everybody has, I think, really understood clearly, as everyone has to, the situation and the, you know, is really being incredibly responsible for the future of our sport and ensuring that we put exactly what needs to be put in place so that we as teams all have a strong future in this sport. And that's been the work that's been going on over the past 6-7 weeks. And I think we're pretty much at the end of that process now. I think within the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to have the final regulations coming out, which will obviously be great because it means that everyone is then clear on how we're moving forward for the next 6 to 12 months, which is so important for all of our businesses.
Yeah. Now, Ross Brawn is obviously working very hard as well on the budget side of things as well. Is that going in the right direction from what you can see?
Well, I mean, we've always, as everyone knows, been really supportive of the cost cap coming in, and we've been talking about it for probably nearly a decade now, the need for Formula One to have a cost cap. It's so important for teams like ours that are independent, that don't just have unlimited amounts of budget. And so we were delighted when the $175 million budget came through. And then obviously with coronavirus, we've had to readdress that situation, and it's going to be coming in at an even lower level, which is clearly, it's even better news for teams like ours. You know, there is on the flip side, the difficulties for the big teams with that though. You know, they're operating on, you know, budgets that are so much greater than that. And I think the very fact that they've seen the reality and the gravity of this situation for everyone else on the grid and those of us that are running teams, it's not going to be easy moving forward, and they've had to come down even further. So I have great sympathy for them, but also I'm so pleased that they've seen the enormity of the situation and reacted in the way that they've needed to.
The 145 million that's been spoken about, is that acceptable or should it be even less?
I think you've got to wet up, and this whole process has been about compromise, and you've got, you know, the top 3 teams that are working with such a greater budget than that, and then you've got, you know, a group in the middle that are somewhere closer to the 175, and then all of us down at the other end that can't even meet a 145 budget. So you've got to find a middle ground somewhere, and, you know, coming down, as I said, from 175 to whatever it may end up at, 145, 140, whatever it is that the FIA confirm, is always going to be better for teams like ours. We might not meet it straight away, but it just brings the ceiling down, and that will then create more competitive racing, better racing for the fans at the end of the day, and give us the opportunity to ensure that our businesses are sustainable going into the future, and also can be successful going into the future as well. And I think in this day and age as well, there needs to be a kind of semblance of reality and responsibility with expenditure in Formula One. Teams going out and spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars going racing every year. Is that really relevant anymore? And I think this sport has to ensure that it retains its relevancy within society, and people aren't just looking at us going, what are they doing, spending all of this money, going round and round racetracks. It's, that's something that we need to tackle, and through this situation we've been able to do that as well as a byproduct.
Claire, just before we move on to speak to George and Nicholas about going back racing, there's one more for you, which has come in from the fans as well, actually, to be fair. Ben Johnston, Paul Newman, talking about when Formula One returns and the restrictions are in place and whether that adds more pressure. But also, Pete Newman, has been saying, do we really think the season should start at all? It seems a bit of a rush to me. And a few fans reacted to what Ross Brawn had to say about creating this biosphere and that we'll all go in a bubble kind of thing. But I think the point we were trying to get across is it's not just a sport or entertainment. These are businesses that are supplied by businesses that are then supplied by other businesses. It's a massive, it's thousands and thousands of people's jobs at stake here. It's not just about some cars going on a track.
No, exactly. It's not. And when this situation arose and we all kind of started understanding the enormity of it and the scale of it and the impact that it could have, like so many businesses have had to do over the past 2 months. I mean, it is scary that we could lose not just one or two teams, but an awful lot of teams if we don't get back racing, because the financial model that we have in our sport is that we are also reliant upon the money that we receive from the results that we get in the Constructors' Championship. And you take that away, and coupled with the fact that sponsorship isn't at the level that it is in Formula One at the moment and in sports in general, that makes trying to find a budget to go racing really incredibly difficult. So you have to weigh up the need to go back racing in order to ensure your team's survival against the very important reality of ensuring that your people remain safe. But for me, at the end of the day, my people are always going to win out. I certainly hope that doesn't cost us our team, but the safety of our people, whether that be returning them to work at Grove or asking them to travel, is going to be absolutely paramount. And we will certainly not be sending people back racing until it is appropriate to do so. But I know that the work that F1 are doing, they've been putting an awful lot of time and energy into this to see what they can do in order to take us back racing and to do that safely. And they're going to make sure that they put in every possible health and safety regulation that they need to, and make sure that we're all doing it in absolutely the right way before we actually go back to the racetrack.
And Nicholas, George, talking about going back to the racetrack, how difficult is it for you guys to keep yourself mentally sort of in the zone, physically in the zone, when you actually don't know when you're going to go racing? How hard is that?
You want to go first, or I'll take
it
first?
Okay. Like I touched on earlier, I think it's unnatural for any sportsman to be out of their sport for so long. And I don't know what it would be, but by the time, if we do go racing in July, we'd have had 3 days of testing in the space of 7 months, which is unbelievable to think. And when the season gets started, not only as drivers, but engineers and mechanics, you all get into a bit of a rhythm. You got race after race after race. And firstly, everyone in Formula One is the best of the best anyway. I'm not just talking drivers, I'm just talking as a whole, including the media, obviously. And then having this much time away, by the time we get back, I think everybody's going to be very rusty, and people will make mistakes. Drivers will make mistakes, engineers, mechanics, everybody will. And I think it's very important to make sure we try and capitalize on those times, because I think for people who aren't going out winning races or scoring points, will be a big opportunity, or the greatest opportunity to get a good result at the start of the year when people are making a mistake.
Yeah, because you've got experience to sort of go back on to actually bring forward. But of course, you, Nicholas, you haven't had that yet. That's even more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bit of a weird situation. And like George said, it's kind of a first that, it's going to be so long by the time we do get to go racing, from our last race of the year last year to when we do get to go racing. So it's, I mean, like in any other sport, as George touched on earlier, even if you're just practicing, you kind of have the should have the facility, whether it's picking up a tennis racket and tennis ball, picking up a basketball, kicking around the football. You could practice much more accurately your sport. And obviously motor racing is the one sport where unfortunately we can't do that. So yeah, I completely in line with George's thought that I think there will be a lot of rust, let's say, from all aspects. So the drivers, the mechanics, teams, because I think it's often overlooked as well from the fans that, you know, there's from the operational side of things, there's so many procedures and things that have to be kind of executed flawlessly from the mechanics, the engineers, the, you know, even team management, that, you know, when you're kind of out of the rhythm for so long, it will be difficult to get back into. And winter testing is one of the biggest opportunities for them to kind of iron out all these kinks. And I mean, especially for us drivers, to got to get back into the rhythm after a winter break. And, you know, now we have a pretty much extended preseason. So yeah, definitely not treating it like a holiday. It's just kind of longer preseason training camp, let's say. But it is weird, or it has been weird, let's say, not knowing when we were going to go back racing. Now we kind of have a target that's beginning of July, but kind of at the beginning, you know, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's going to be a month and a half, and then it keeps getting delayed longer and longer, and it's like, okay, well, you're still training, you're still staying ready for just in case we're going racing in a few weeks now. But yeah, it's obviously just kind of that unknown factor, and just kind of having to stay sharp and just ready for the opportunity.
Can I just ask you then, how jealous are you two, George and Nicholas, of Pierre and Kevin, who've been able to get to kart tracks now? Because where they are, things have eased. The grins on your faces tell me you're jealous right now, Nicholas.
I want to go karting. I'm just waiting for the tracks to open up here in Ontario.
Yeah, likewise. I think first opportunity we'll be both there. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Loads of questions. And there's an 8-year-old, actually, Claire, this is to you as well. Tommy B Racing says, I'm 8 and I'm a karter. Do you have a young driver academy I can join? And if not, George and Nicholas, what advice would you give? So Claire first to Tommy.
Oh, bless. So we do have a young driver academy. We have a handful of drivers in that at the moment. Jamie Chadwick and Roy Nassani, Dan Ticktum and Jack Aitken. So it's quite full, but you'll notice those guys are at a certain age and a certain level. 8's a bit young for us. But if I were to give any advice, it's to keep doing what you're doing. And I know George and Nicholas would probably echo this, that it's all about getting the practice in at an early age and starting competition at an early age. It's so fiercely competitive to get into the upper echelons of motorsport. You've just got to keep fighting as best you can. But I think always keep in touch with the teams as well. Make yourself known to the teams at the top end so that they can keep an eye on you, because we've all got kind of scouts that go out and look in the karting championships that are going on.
And George, I guess you'd suggest he learns PowerPoint quickly, yeah?
Yeah, it's no book out.
Exactly.
It's not a bad skill.
Take notes in your IT lessons. No, I think doesn't matter how good your PowerPoints are, you know, you got to put the time and effort in on the racetrack. Keep practicing. I think a lot of young kids and also their families who take their kids racing expect results quick, and you know, it doesn't happen. Didn't happen to me. I'm sure it didn't happen to Nicholas, and also, you know, some of the other guys in F1. You got to take your time. Only move on from your category when you're ready to do so, and when you're winning races. But like I say, just keep practicing. That's with anything in life. If you want to be good at it, you only get out what you put into it.
Patience, Nicholas, I guess would be your tip as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely patience. Be passionate about what you're doing, first of all, because I think with anything in life, that's the first thing, is help you get through those difficult moments, for sure. Days when you're maybe not as motivated, you kind of go back to why you're doing it in the first place. And obviously, I'm sure why a lot of us do what we do is because we love what we do. And yeah, just really hard work and patience, as you said. Just can't echo that enough.
Great stuff. Thank you all very, very much for joining us on this vodcast. It's great to see your faces. Hopefully we will see you at some racetracks very soon. We've got lots coming up this week for you on Sky Sports F1. We've got another podcast on Friday, a Renault special with Cyril Bitball and Esteban Ocon, esports over the weekend, and of course the live F1 show across Sky channels on Monday at 2. Thank you all very much. We'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Stay safe.